Hello, good morning. Anne-Marie, positivity hypnotherapist and confidence coach. And I am here to share such a wonderful experience this morning, the like of which I've never ever experienced before. And I have to tell you, I'm overwhelmed, to say the least. So I have a very young client. He is 9 years old, and this boy is an amazing boy. He is already so brave in so many ways, and his parents came to me to ask me if I may be able to help him get over his fear, his phobia of injections and needles, which had impacted on his life so much that he was unable to go on any of the lovely holidays that they booked to the Caribbean and such places because he has such a strong fear of needles. And where his fear is so strong, it's impacted on every area of this 9-year-old boy's life. And it also led to him having a fear of fainting, because when you have one fear, that fear starts off very small and it grows and it manifests itself into something almost unrecognizable by the time somebody comes to see me. And it really can be quite daunting at the thought of even going to see somebody about it. So you can imagine, as a 9-year-old boy having a fear of needles. He actually had an accident not too long ago where he was really in a really bad accident, and when they took him to hospital they had to operate on him without an injection or anaesthesia because he was too scared to have the operation. So he'd rather suffer the pain and endure the injury than actually have an operation. And you know, it's obviously, for me as a hypnotherapist, all I want to do is just take that fear away. But there's equally the pressure if you've got two very loving parents really wanting this to happen. And I can guarantee that if this child wants it enough, they will overcome their fear. But still, there is a lot of onus on the person who you're working with to do some of the internal work themselves. So you can imagine it was a big responsibility for me to take this fear away from this 9-year-old child. Anyway, they came here this morning, mum, dad and the two children. They are twins. And obviously this 9-year-old child is really nervous. He'd never been hypnotized before. And when someone has one fear, it's very easily to be able to look and think of other fears. If you have gone through the process of fear, then it's easily adaptable to other situations. So he not only has a fear of needles, he now has a fear of fainting, and he has a fear of just other fears that are all starting to sprout and shoot off of his initial fear of injections. So they came to me this morning, and mum came with hope in her eyes and dad came, and they really want to have this holiday in the Caribbean. And he also is he's going to come on camera soon. Okay, we've already recorded a video and he is going to come on camera soon, because when I tell you, he came into the hypnotherapy room and we had a conversation, and by the time he came out of the hypnotherapy room, this boy recognized his own power. And it was an amazing thing to watch, because he'd overcome a fear that he'd had for 3 years that had impacted on his life in such a way that had stopped him from doing things, stopped him from feeling brave, stopped him from feeling confident, stopped him in so many ways. And his parents had to watch him go through that, and they were equally as, you know, catastrophized as what he was, because when you have a child, obviously you love them and everything they go through you experience too. And when he came out of hypnotherapy, when he came out of his trance, and I asked him about what his fear was, I said, you know, how do you feel about needles now? And he said, good. And I said, so imagine if there was a needle on the chair next to you now, how would you feel about that? And he said, good. And he put his head in his hands because he couldn't believe that he'd done this. And it was just a beautiful thing to watch. Anyway, mum and dad, I'm so tearful because it was amazing. His mum and dad came back, and I told them what happened, and I said to the young man, tell Dad what's happened. And he said, oh, guess what? I'm not scared of needles anymore. And which was amazing. So then they're still around there now. We went round to the tea room and I said, I will tell your mum. And he said, he told her and he said, oh, Mum, I actually want to speak to my cousin. Now, he's got a cousin that lives in Australia who is actually scared of needles as well. And his cousin is a pilot. And his cousin can only be restricted to inland flights because he's scared to have the injections to be able to go to the Caribbean and all these different places. So because he's scared, he's very restricted in what he does. And he said, I want to ring my cousin and tell him what I've just done. And so his mum said, oh, go on. Well, it's obviously in Australia. Text him. So this young boy got on and he said, guess what? I'm not scared of needles anymore. Now, you and I know you cannot make a 9-year-old child do something they don't want to do. You can't impress upon them that they should do this. They just don't. They're 9 years old. They have minds of their own. He sat there and he said, Mum, can I send this? And me and Mum I don't know how we stopped ourselves crying in front of him, but we haven't. And Mum said, yeah, you can send that. And he sent it to his cousin, and his cousin texts back, oh my gosh, how did you do that? I need to do that too. I need to meet this person. And he said, Mum, look, this is what my cousin sent back. And she said, oh, isn't that brilliant? And his cousin said, and he said, well, you need to speak to my lady, talking about me. And so he sent this off. And then the cousin came back and said, I can't go to Vietnam this year and I can't go to the Caribbean this year because of my fear of needles. I want to book this as soon as possible. And he showed it to his mum, and his mum said, isn't that amazing? And he said, yeah. He goes, what should I say, Mum? And he said, oh, I don't know. She said, what would you say to somebody that used to have the same fear as you and it stopped their lives and they couldn't do what they do? And what would you say to them to encourage them? And he said, I know what I'm going to write. And he wrote 4 words, and he showed it to Mum, and he showed it to me. And at that point, I had to leave because I was going to cry. He said, you can do it, smiley face. This is a 9-year-old boy giving words of confidence and advice to his 20-year-old cousin about, the way he'd overcome his adversity. And in doing so, he wanted to inspire others straight away. This is a very special boy for a start. And his first thought was, how can I give this to somebody else? And he did that. And it just really struck me that people are amazing. The human brain is amazing. What can be achieved with faith, with commitment, with hypnotherapy is amazing. And I'm humbled because I've changed this boy's life. I've not only changed his life, I've changed his family's life. And he is now going on to change his cousin's life. You see, the ripple effect of doing something good will eventually change the world. That's what we all hope for. But in this small instance, I know, thank you. It's only just happened, that's why I'm quite emotional. But, she... I said to her, I've got to go, because I was going to cry, and I came out and she said, I'll walk you back. And she said, Anne-Marie, you don't know what you've done. She said, you don't even have a small understanding of how you've changed our family's life. And I said, I do, because I remember being young and all the limitations that were put on me, and that's all I want to do. All I want to do is release people from their own prison, because it is their own prison. That's my life. That's what I was born to do. And yeah, I know I'm being a bit silly, I know, but just to see it there, to know that this boy can now go on and achieve anything he wants to do in his life because he's overcome a fear that was holding him back from really believing in himself. And the most beautiful thing about it was, when he was in my therapy room, I said to him, tell me one word that you want to feel at the end of this experience. One word. And he said, I want to feel impressed. I want to be impressed with myself. And when we were over the tea room, and I said to him, oh God, stop. I said to him, how are you feeling now? And he looked at me and he looked at Mum. He said, I'm feeling really impressed. No words. This is the most emotional broadcast I've ever done, because all I can say to you is, if you are following your passion and your purpose in life, and you are giving of yourself every day, and you are serving others, And in doing so, you change people's lives, and you really, and that's whatever profession you do. You don't have to be a service profession. All you have to do on a daily basis is give of yourself in any service, whether you're a dog walker, whether you're a dog sitter, whether you're a furniture maker, whether you're a pilot, whether you're a football player. Give of yourself everything to enable other people to step forward and be the very best version of themselves. If you can do that in your work, I'm telling you now, you by default will become so successful beyond your wildest dreams, because that is what we are born here to do. It's not about chasing the money. It's not about chasing the notoriety. It's not about that. It's about living and being your very best version of yourself every single day. And I tell you what, the success will come and the money will come, and you won't even have to look for it, because it's just a byproduct of being true to your amazing selves. So, forgive my tears, I'm very emotional, but you know I'm telling you from the heart, be the very best version of you. If there is anything holding you back or stopping you from being that, then please do go and do something about it. You don't have to live with your phobias, with your fears, with your lack of confidence. I know, I'm just sorry. Julia, good morning. You've caught me at the end of sharing something wonderful and beautiful. Please do go back and have a look. All I can say to you is be the very best versions of yourselves today and every day. Live your life with true passion, and you will have the very best life you could ever possibly imagine. In fact, beyond your wildest dreams and your wildest comprehension will be your life. So, have a wonderful day. Do excuse this. And you know where I am. I'm going to put a link below. If you want to be free of any kind of prison that you've put yourself in, whatever that is, please do contact me. Come and see me. Let's have a conversation, and let's open your mind, release you from any prison you put yourself in. Step forward into your greatness and be the very, very best version of you. Love to you all. Have a lovely day.